Definitely. I mean, M&A, there's a whole capital markets ecosystem that you need to understand. And M&A is kind of the last stage of that development of the ecosystem. And what I mean by that is, if you look at the history of M&A, there's been 7 waves of M&A. And the first wave in M&A started in 1890, 1895. It was basically, once the US had gotten industrialized, it was a consolidation move where industries were trying to create monopolies, like Standard Oil and the railroads. So they were creating monopolies. Well, that wave has happened 7 times. So we're in the 7th wave right now, which ostensibly you can say is probably winding down. But what you need to understand about the ecosystem is when economies and capital markets develop, the first thing they're doing is financing. They're financing growth.
Right.
So if you look at ASEAN, not economically, but, or sorry, if you look at ASEAN economically and not politically, you have Singapore, which is extremely developed, and then you have countries like Myanmar, which are just starting. So you're not going to see a lot of M&A activity in Myanmar because they're still financing their way through growth. Now, companies typically don't start doing M&A until their organic growth curve starts to flatten. So, I mean, there's a lot of different reasons for doing M&A, but if you're, public companies, you've got to feed the equity investors, we say. You've got to feed the equity. The equity has to grow. Investors own equity for growth. So companies start buying and they start consolidating. So it's hard to consolidate an economy or a capital market when you're still in that very early developmental stage. So to answer your question, I would expect M&A to grow in this part of the world disproportionately to, say, Europe, Japan, North America, where M&A growth, like GDP growth, if you get 2 to 4% GDP growth, you're very excited. If you're in Myanmar and Vietnam and you get 3 to 4%, it's probably a bad year.